On Friday, December 14, 2018, I decided to ask my mother for help with my tale of two changes. We sat down to talk about it, different physical and chemical changes. I decided to do my physical change about paper and my chemical change about burning the paper. First step, we took a sheet of paper and turned it into two pieces, which gave us two halves. The physical change was that we didn't have one sheet of paper, we had two different sheets of paper. My experience was done at my desk, at home, with my mother. I then decided to take some tape and make it my sheet of paper hold the image. Then I took another sheet of paper to do my chemical change. I had to use a lighter and have water at my desk. When I burnt the paper, the color turned into black and gray, and then it gave it a smell that was burnt. The chemical change was that the color and the burning smell of the paper. Examples of physical and chemical change. Physical change is a change in size, shape, form, or state of matter. And chemical change is a change in matter in which the substances that make up matter.
Today we'll be talking about physical and chemical changes. One day on a Monday morning, Jenny was at school with her friends Becky and Nicole. Jenny, Becky, and Nicole had to do their do not like any other school morning. Their do not question for this Monday morning was, what is a physical change? Surprisingly, they all had the same answer. Their answer was, a physical change is a change in size, shape, form, or state of matter in which the matter's identity stays the same. 5 minutes later, Miss Crawford, the teacher, collected their do nots. Mrs. Crawford said, good morning, class. Today's lesson will be about physical and chemical changes. Mrs. Crawford said, I will be giving you five examples, and you all need to write them down for your understanding. Mrs. Crawford wrote her examples on the whiteboard in front of the classroom. Mrs. Crawford's first example was, you put paper over a hot stove and the paper is on fire. This is a chemical change. The second example was, when iron undergoes a chemical change with oxygen, rust forms. The substances that undergo a change no longer have the same properties because they no longer have the same identity. The third example was, during a physical change, the matter does not become something different even though physical properties change. The fourth example was, think about what happens when you heat water over on a stove. Bubbles form as the water boils. In this case, bubbles show that the water is changing state, which is a physical change. The fifth example was, sometimes you can observe clues that chemical change has occurred. You can observe bubbles, energy change, color change, and odor change. After Mrs. Crawford gave all of those examples, she asked the class, do you understand? The class said yes very loudly. The class said yes at the perfect time because the bell had rung for them to go to their next class. But Mrs. Crawford yelled, wait, I forgot to give you 6 examples instead of 5. The sixth example was when you chew food, which makes the food smaller pieces. This is a physical change. Then Mrs. Crawford finally dismissed the class.
One day, Kate was at home bored and she just remembered she had a science lesson. So Kate looked up some examples of chemical and physical change. She tried one physical change that was to boil some water and see what it does. Bubbles started to form. Kate knew that was a physical change. She tried another one by melting some ice. She turned it solid to a liquid. Next, Kate decided to try a chemical change. She mixed 2 cups together and got a color change. Another chemical change Kate tried was she left some milk out overnight and it started to get a odor change.
There was 2 boys named Thomas and Jacob. They lived right next door to each other and they were best friends. One day they started a bake-off against these other boys named Tom and Bob. They always won everything they invented. So Thomas and Jacob challenged them to a bake-off. One team had to bake cakes and the other team had to bake brownies. So Thomas and Jacob started off with the brownies and Tom and Bob made the cakes. They were in Thomas' house doing the bake-off, so they bought their own tools and stuff. Thomas and Jacob gathered all the ingredients for the brownies, such as cocoa powder, eggs, butter, baking powder, flour, and other ingredients. Thomas heated up the oven so they could put the brownies in after they were done with the ingredients. Tom and Bob put the ingredients in the bowl for the cake, such as flour, butter, sugar, milk, eggs, and other ingredients. They both had different shaped pans. Tom and Bob had a rectangle pan, and Thomas and Jacob had a square pan. But Tom and Bob's pan was rusted. They tried to clean it, but it didn't come clean. So they ran back to their houses and looked for another pan, but they couldn't find another pan to use. So when they got back to Thomas's house, they asked could they use Thomas's pan after they were done with it. Thomas and Jacob brownies were done. They gave their pans to Tom and Bob. They put their stuff in the oven and waited. While they were waiting, they all talked about who was going to win the competition. The only way they were going to find out was to serve their pastries to Thomas and Jacob's mom. After all the pastries were done, they decorated them. Thomas and Jacob decorated the brownies with chocolate icing and chocolate chips with strawberries, and Tom and Bob decorated the cake with blue and red icing with red sprinkles. When they were done, they cut pieces for their moms and served it to them. But their moms liked Thomas and Jacob's brownies because they were really chocolatey, but Tom and Bob wasn't that good because theirs was kind of burnt.
Okay. On April 23rd, a girl named Layla was turning 17. She was having a hall for her birthday, like a party. All of her friends were coming to celebrate. So she decided to have a cake. She went to an old friend named Tom. He had a bakery because he could give her a discount on the cake. Layla wanted an ice cream cake. Since Tom didn't have enough time to make the cake, Tom asked Layla and her friends if they wanted to make the cake. But Layla and her friends didn't know how to make a cake. So Tom told them what a chemical change is. A chemical change is a change in which the substance that make up the matter change into other substances with new physical and chemical properties. The next place was the hall. Everyone was blowing up balloons. The balloon is getting bigger and smaller, which is called a physical change. The more you inhale, it gets bigger. When you exhale, it gets smaller. The kids at the party were eating cake. They were chewing, which made the physical change. After the party, they had fireworks and were blowing bubbles, which made a chemical change. The moral of the story is when you have a party or do anything or do everyday things, it could be a chemical or physical change.